Hey traders, what's going on? Space Shark here. Just want to take a look at graph real quick, where it might be going. I want to look at some of the write-ups from TradingView, some of the other ideas. And graph has had an amazing run. I think there's some really good reasons behind that. And I want to take a look at where we're going, maybe near term, mid-term, and long term. So let's just start over there. A few of the ideas that I liked from other people. So this guy has dropped out an Elliott wave count on the bigger and the inside. And on the 4 hour, he's got the cycle set up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ending at around, I think he said 15 to 25. And that's going to be a more long-term view of the graph. And that's probably conservative, considering what it actually does. We'll take a look at that in a minute as well. So let's see what he says here. Roadmap for the graph token over the next few weeks. Potentially some very profitable opportunities opening up following the next two upcoming corrections. I think that's pretty key to talk about too. The next two upcoming corrections, being the pullbacks and the legs. The counter to the impulse waves. So the first being the 23.6 to the 38.2 retracement to roughly $1.60 to $1.10. I don't know if it's going to go that far down. Potential. We'll also look at the ICO price was it was 3 cents, and it looked like there was a max buy of like $5,000. So each person could roughly buy a max of 166,000 tokens, if I had read that correctly. I don't have that at hand, but that is the way that I'd looked at it. So if most of those guys, let's say, took profit at 72 cents, when it first got listed at Coinbase and other places, or sold off into this, I'm looking at more as like value was transferred. And on the value transfer, let's take a look. There is only 12% circulating right now. There's going to be more max supply, but what graph does makes it super important to Web3, kind of like what Link, Band, and other things do for the new internet. And it's one of a kind right now. Doesn't mean it won't have competitors or that the price is even right now. It's still in price discovery. But you're looking at 12% issued with 1.2 billion, almost 1.3 billion tokens floating. And that makes it really in a position to run, because the number for locked tokens as well, I do believe, was 80%. So of the 1.2 billion even open, 80% are locked. I'd have to actually look for that. Someone else quoted that, so it could be wrong. Let's just say that none of it's locked, just to be fair. 1.2 billion, excuse me, is not that much. So considering what it does, it's APIs for vibrant decentralized future. Graph is an indexing protocol for querying networks like Ethereum and internet file storage. Anyone can build and publish open APIs called subgraphs, making data easily accessible. Well, it's kind of like a search engine and puts everything together that right now is not quite together. So this is going to be a first of its kind to, bring the next layer together of the internet. So this is exactly what it does. Blockchains, storage networks, peer-to-peer, public data, encrypted data. The graph ingests, processes, indexes, and serves data in a verifiable way. That's pretty powerful, and that's something that's missing right now. So when you look at this and someone goes, oh, it's so overbought, it's crazy overbought at like $3 because it issued at 3 cents. But when you look at what it does, right, so much is getting built: DeFi, governance, marketplaces, entertainment, and what it can do. And you look at how much is issued, $3 is extremely, extremely undervalued, in my opinion. I could be totally wrong, but given every other project like Link or Band that went, from like $1 to $27, $30, Uniswap was $3. They gave them away, and they're going for 24 now. Like, who's to say that that's the proper value, that it's overvalued or undervalued? There probably is a good correction coming up soon because everything's been running hot, but that'll give you a chance to actually get in. So let's take a look at graph in general. So this guy, he does think it's coming back down a bit, so you got a chance to get back in. Hopefully that'll work out profit takers and reset and stabilize. Let's see, what was he looking at? 160 to 110. That'd be fantastic. I'd love to sell what I have now, which I am in gains, and I do have an interest in this, obviously, and then rebuy down there. Let's see like what that looks like. This is the structure that I have going on right now. I'm going to pump this up to like 15-minute time frame. All right, so when he drew his wave counts, he drew them from the 4 hour. Let's just start from there and drop. What could graph potentially do? So he had 1, 2, 3, and then going up, right, with the corrections. And that's a pretty good run. And I mean, obviously we probably should get some corrections, some pullback. But if 1.2 billion is the token float, and on Coinbase alone, the 24-hour volume was 340 million, and the overall 24-hour volume, like a day ago when it ran, was rotation of market cap. That means that everything rotated. I mean, some people might have held and didn't trade, so it's just day traders, swapping in and out. But technically, you could have rotated everything up above $2. So technically, everyone holding could have about a $2 cost basis or about $1. Would there be any reason for them to sell if they did this purchase of graph or long range versus just a short-term gain? And that's what I want to look at. Where might we go if it's those two things? Let me take that graph off the back too. It's kind of annoying. Let's take the watermark off. All right. So the way I'm looking at it is that it consolidated for a long time after it was listed, right? And it came down and it sank pretty good. It was up at 80 cents, came all the way back down to 32, and then even sank down to like 20 range. That's pretty rough for someone that, may have bought it there. So when it got up above that and it broke out, if you're looking at right there, this is where volume started coming back in again and went crazy. Hopefully those people were rotated out and new people got in that actually want to be in the project. So I just want to skip all that consolidation into the pop and just look at the pop. All right, so once it consolidated and got into, right, legging up, where did it stabilize at? Well, 209, 2 range between the the 175 right here and 2. It really kind of stabilized there, and it topped out all-time high. Ran like 200% in like 48 hours, 289.88. And it came all the way back down to, let's see, what, 209? 210, right? So that looks like the low, 210. 210, 29, that's pretty much the platform area. As long as it's on top of that, that looks pretty good to just kind of consolidate around in this area. Maybe go lower. But as long as it stays up above there and consolidates, you're looking at the next leg up, and that really would go back with his idea. I don't think it goes as deep as he says, but it could if there's a lot more volume than we're thinking about. And we'll know real soon. And then we'll drop on the chart, look a little more of like where that might be. So from the 4 hour down, looks really good. The pullback volume getting lighter and lighter and lighter. It looks to me like they've soaked up all the supply that wants to sell. So unless you find someone off the sidelines that just decides graph's not worth it to maybe they have bought into 2 break and then they go, oops, I don't want to go red, and they start selling off. Okay, we might come down and catch that trend line. It might be 140s, 160s, depends like how soon that happens. Might stop at 175, people right there down below. But realistically, I'm looking for volume to come in once it stabilizes, to start to leg back up and climb back over the 250 mark, the all-time high mark, and then get over the 3. Once you're over 3 to 4 is really easy, because then people coming in late after, 3 to 4 is only a 25% move. But $1 to 3 was, that's a lot for a lot of people in 24 hours. Once it goes past that and it stabilizes the 2 range, the 2 to 3 range, once it gets on to 3 to 5, it's not that big of a run. 3 to 10 is a big run, but 3 to 5, not that big. Pulls back to maybe 4, maybe 3, stabilizes again, platforms up to 8. So you start thinking about it in legs of impulse waves and pullbacks moving its way up to the long range goal. That's not like far-fetched, But for someone to go 3 cents to $3, that's insane. That's never going to happen. Like, this is scripted. It happens all the time. This is just normal. And it's a quality project. So let's look at the 1 hour. 1 hour, I mean, it's just stabilizing. It's just gone sideways, and it's just kind of consolidating in the range of 220 to 250. It's working out profit takers, and it's letting in new people that probably realize graph is worth more. And I'll keep looking for volume to come in on the lower and lowers. And if you look, the sell-off is just getting less and less. No one's really too interested in selling it off, and there is enough buyers right now to kind of stabilize that area. And I'm looking for it to stabilize enough, not find suppliers out of the blue to just tank it, and just find an equilibrium right here so that they can drop some new news and say, ooh, look, graph is so good, it's amazing, and have people go, oh, good, it's going to go to 5. They want to take the 2 to 5 ride. I was really surprised that on that dip that it didn't get back over into here and claim and keep riding the trend. That uptrend line was really good. And you can see when it actually found stability. When it got back to the area to test, to get back on top of the trend line to stay on trend after a profit-taking dip, it wasn't able to. It found people that wanted to take gains. And it found them once in decent volume, and it found them twice in receding volume. And that just kind of, made people go, maybe not. Then it tried again and it failed. It didn't even get there. So that does worry me that maybe it'll go down into the 220, maybe the 175 range, that it just kind of bleeds off slow and doesn't find any more traction, or another hot project steals the momentum of the day. But I would like to add some more around 210, and then look for it to start to pick back up in volume like it did on the front side here for the next leg up. So from there to there, get on top of this, get back on top of the all-time high, test 3, get over 3, come back, test 3, and hold. Once we get over 3, test 3, and hold, then I'd be looking for the same structure like this on there to go up, down, consolidate, and then do the same thing. Up a couple dollars, down a dollar or two, consolidate, and keep working its way all the way up to 8 to 10 in that same fashion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I think the gentleman that said 15 to 25, it looks like a lot of run there. It's really not. It's actually, a few months of that happening. A few dollars pop, a few dollars retracement, 20% pop, 10% retracement. And once you do a few of those, that just comes into range. So if you can get in anywhere between $2, 75 cents to $2, you probably have a pretty good cost basis. Even if the market tanks and the sector goes crazy and BTC goes to shit before everything is actually completed, you may get stuck, holding in the 75 to 30 cent range for a while. And that would really suck. Ties up capital, ties up trade time. But if that happens, that means everything's tanking anyway. Unless you're a short seller, you're just holding everything. This would not be a bad project to get stuck in if you did, just because of what it does and where it's going. It's still probably, 12, 18 months out before it really sees its max value. And that's a lot of window for another coin to come along and do what they do better, or to have better connections in Rolodex. But let's look at who backs these guys. Framework, DTC, Multicoin, Coinbase Ventures. You got a lot of backing, and a couple names that actually kind of matter, and a bunch that are just names. It's not like Pantera or anybody's in this, but they do still have Coinbase Ventures. Coinbase believes in them, and they're on Coinbase. So if they were vetted and they're on Coinbase, they have some type of future. Coinbase doesn't waste time listing things that they can't make money on, that people aren't going to trade, want, desire, and have higher trading volumes going back and forth, because that's how they make their money. So they're not going to put something on there that doesn't have some kind of longer range potential for them to make money. So I can't see graphs staying in the $2 range unless the entire market just falls apart. And if it falls apart, it falls apart. But right now, a lot of good chance for re-entry for the next moon mission up and the next moon mission up after that. I would definitely say graph is going in my cold storage hold. And just like I said, I do own some, so I do have an interest in what I've said today. I have a sell set for 298. I'll probably sell us in the range we're at now and probably try to reaccumulate around 2, just to add a little more. I have a blended cost basis right now of 109, 152, and then I added in just a few more 267. That doesn't even really matter. because I added so little of them for a blended total of those. And I'd like to have a lot more of them, but just so that I'm honest about, that I do have an interest in this. Good luck. I hope that you get into graph and make some money. And there was one other chart that I liked. Let's see. Oh, here we go. This guy had some decent fibs on his. Just for we end the video. All right, so hi everyone. Hope everyone's doing great. Sorry I've been busy with work. I was able to do TA for a while. What a run it was. GRT did good. Now we need that healthy correction. Everyone seems to agree it's a healthy correction. Like that's kind of the consensus across the board, like healthy correction, healthy correction. How healthy is healthy? I don't know, 140, 160. I'm thinking GRT will pull back to 209 price level before it takes off again. I'm more online with this price range of where it's going to pull back of 209. That's why I said I might be willing to sell where we're at right now in the 240 range and re-add it to 209. I think he has a better chance of being correct than the other gentleman, unless something really bad happens in the market. 209 seems like a good area, and I don't know, if I got back in at 2 and it sank to $1, like that would be a little disappointing. But I don't think it should go that far. And I'll be looking for other issues in the sector like BTC or other areas to tank. But right now you have a lot of support from people like Elon Musk and people that are coming out of the woodwork to keep pumping. I don't think BTC should be up. I don't think anything should be up this high right now. The framework is not entirely done. It's not really ready. The SEC framework isn't there. The legal isn't there. We're not quite ready for Wave 4 adoption where you can go out and just buy a coffee, or Web3 is just done. It's almost done. But if they weren't rolling out Elon Musk and all these, high-name people in MSNBC, BTC would have tanked a long time ago. It's had support from people that have millions and millions of followers who have never really had exposure to Bitcoin, or have had exposure and didn't have a good enough reason to buy until one of these circus seals was rolled out and said, oh man, you should do it. And now people are like, yeah, and it's kind of sustaining things. I think there should be one more really healthy pullback on everything. And I mean real deep, because we've printed a lot of money to push the COVID virus bills down the road. Those have to be paid back. All the people that didn't work all that time, all the rent that wasn't paid on Main Street, I mean, that's coming due at some point. Everyone acts like, oh yeah, things are things. Things aren't things. Like, there's no reason for the stock market or anything to be up, because people are about to lose their homes. There's people that have been out of work for a while. There's a lot of lost revenue that wasn't put back in the economy, and you can only kick the can down the road so far. So as far as value for graph of what it's worth, 12 to 18 months out, as far as what everything else is worth that can take it with it, it's overvalued. It shouldn't be sustaining as it is. But how long can they keep printing their way out of debt? And how long can they keep rolling out these circus seals with, lots of people to toss a little money at it to keep the show going? That is some of the things that I'd be more concerned with versus the actual long-term value of graph or BTC or anything in crypto, because all of it long-term, it's gonna go up. But could it go way back down one more time? Oh yeah, definitely. And that's probably the time to load the boat all the way. Normally I short sell. The market has provided tremendous opportunities for the last few years of any good pop to fade the retrace and make amazing gains. This will probably be the last time that I fade short and only go long and collect after. It won't even be day trading. It'll only be accumulation. And that will be on the next breakdown of BTC. Once that happens, that's it. Wave 4 adoption will happen. Web 3 will be done. There will actually be use cases that aren't just, phony baloney white paper raising some money so they can jack the bank and run away with it. Things like graph and all that, they're real. They're not we're going to build it someday. It's built. Uniswap, same thing. They built first, gave out tokens for free, and then became valuable, versus raised a bunch of tokens so that they could make Uniswap like did it. And that's not happening anymore. People aren't ICO white paper and, bullshitting people. Like, they're building real shit now. Real stuff and real use cases, and they're actually starting to onboard people. Once that changeover happens, then all this stuff will start going up and it will never come back down. You have one or two more opportunities of deep market retracements on things, so I wouldn't throw all my money in it right now because things are overly high. Doesn't mean they won't go a little higher before retrace. or that they couldn't just print their way out of it forever and a day and keep kicking down the road for 4 or 5 more years. But if they would just let things take a natural course, like it's going to dip, it's going to adopt, and then it's going to go ape shit to the moon. Now's your time to start looking at where you want to get in and accumulating, because the world is going to change to a digital world. They're probably going to kill physical dollars, and you're going to have to use your apps and all these things that are linked to digital profile to go someplace, and things like Graph, Uniswap, and all that. Those tools are going to replace the old institutions, like the banks, the loans, the things that you are used to now. The way things have been for, thousands of years, it's going digitized. And when it goes digitized, the things that run the decentralized networks are going to be the things that just go up in value, just because onboarding, like, people won't have a choice. Like, they don't have any choice. They'll have to use this crap. So you want to be pre-positioned before that. You don't have to do whatever you want. It's not investment advice, but if you are someone who invests, it's not a bad investment to make, because it's the future of the net. That's just the way things are going to go. And Graph has a very bright future. So see you on the moon.